So our psalm today, is we're going to be talking about the ark today, but then we're going to be moving into, Samuel was judge, moving into the king, Saul being the first king. So reading Psalm 72, which is about king. So, give the king your justice, O God, and your righteousness to a king's son. May he judge your people with righteousness and your poor with justice. May the mountains yield prosperity for the people and the hills in righteousness. May he defend the cause of the poor of the people and give deliverance to the needy and crush the oppressor. May he live while the sun endures and as long as the moon throughout all generations. May he be like rain that falls on the mown grass, like showers that water the earth. In his days, may righteousness flourish and peace abound until the moon is no more. May he have dominion from sea to sea and from the river to the ends of the earth. May his foes bow down before him and his enemies lick the dust. May the kings of Tarshish and the isles render him tribute. So it goes on like that, but talking about, it was interesting to read this. And, the commentary meaning being in this psalm, the king being somebody with who has been given powers by God, a lot of power by God, and I want to borrow that, but after this you may not. So anyhow, all right. So we're going to be talking about the Ark of the Covenant, and the Ark was kept in the tabernacle, and this comes all apart. So everybody to see, there's two chambers in here, and there's curtains. This is the curtain for the entrance. The entrance has two arched doorways. All right. And then smaller doorway with a curtain leading into the Holy of Holies. All right. So not too dissimilar from the temple. All right. And then there's all this stuff that goes in the tabernacle. So this is, hey, hi. This is.
Keep your seat.
We're old. We are. We're not getting up unless we have to. All right. So this is the representation of the Ark of the Covenant. All right. So this little piece.
Don't touch it.
Oh, I know.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Struck dead.
I know. Whoa, okay. So it's not just Tom sitting next to Sarah, as he likes to say sometimes, that
He gets struck by lightning.
he gets struck by lightning.
Yeah, just classroom.
So on the original Ark of God, Ark of the Covenant, Ark of the Lord, there were a couple of rings on each side, and the poles went through those rings to carry it. So these are representations of the two angels that sat on top. And I think they apparently originally had their wings spread and they're protected. And then everything inside and out, eventually, apparently not originally, but later, was covered in gold.
I think they were owls in Indiana Jones.
Oh, okay.
Owls.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So anyhow, so this was the Ark of the Covenant, and it was the only thing in the Holy of Holies.
It's interesting. When I was living over in Southeast Asia, there would be people so poor they could barely like live at subsistence level, yet their Buddhas were adorned with jewels and gold. You know, like every penny went to that rather than, you know, sustenance.
I wonder who's estimating her area.
No one. God
I
blew his
guess
breath.
Or the high priest was,
Yeah,
wasn't the high priest the only one that was allowed in there? I had to turn this around because the drawing is for this way. It's for this way. All right, so the Holy of Holies, all right? And then the altar of incense altar. So it sat right in front of the entrance to the Holy of Holies. And the table of shewbread. So there would be this table that 12 fresh loaves of bread would go on.
Every day or every week?
I don't remember. I want to say every day.
They mentioned that in the choice, in the
Yeah.
the person, the story of the making of the bread.
And then what happened to that bread? Did that high priest eat it, or did it just get burned up, or do we know?
I didn't go that far.
Yeah, that's okay.
All
My
right.
semi-educated guess would be a little bit of both, maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe burn one for an offering and then the priest eat the rest of it.
Right. So there's a little menorah. You get the menorah out so that those of you on camera can sort of see. So it went in this room, which was the holy place. So Holy of Holies and then the holy place. Right. So the menorah stayed in there. And then right outside the front door was the altar of burnt offering. Oh, this is the laver. Oh, here's the altar of burnt offering. So it was right in front. And then the laver, because you'd had to wash before you went in. And then this area was called the courtyard, right? And so then the tabernacle was covered by a series of cloths, cloth representations, because it basically was a tent. So I don't know if this structure was originally made out of wood or what, I don't know. But you covered all this. First there was this gray wool, and then this fancy, embroidered cloth, and then a red cloth, and then this big heavy wool cloth, so that people passing by wouldn't know what it was. And then it was surrounded by this linen fence. All right. I don't know that it's gonna. So this linen fence would have been stuck in the ground to give it that depth. This is a representation of the tabernacle. So, and there was only one person that guarded the Ark of the Covenant. So thinking, all right, so we're going to go back and review just real quick last week about.
So you say it's covered with all those pieces of fabric so that nobody would know what it was.
This last one.
But wouldn't they all know what it was?
Well, the people living there.
That the
Oh, so
enemies,
strangers.
the enemy.
Yeah. So
So
when the
enemies.
enemies passing by.
Okay.
Very different too, again, because in Southeast Asia, the temples tops or the home where they keep the Buddha statue is gold or some facsimile of gold. And then their bells all the way around the roof, so that wherever you stand, you can either see or hear where to go for prayer.
Well,
So they want everybody to know
They want everybody to
where
know.
you can either look up and see, and there's always a temple somewhere close. Because like the Jews, you could only take so many steps
Is that right?
to get to a temple on their holy day.
oh, okay.
So they, as towns expanded, they had to build another temple because it was too many steps to get to the existing.
Right.
Same thing as with church steeples.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And mosque. with this,
Minaret.
the minarets,
I
right?
was thinking of it, I don't know in all religions, but I guess it's homage to God and their own way, but all this gold and glitter and the person out here doesn't have a piece of bread to eat, whatever, that just has a flash of, and I'm not putting down the Catholic Church, but I'm just saying that I've been there and all the artwork and glitter and gold, people they serve, many of them don't have a pot.
All right, so I thought into that, Mike.
You know, as many worship and wonders as I've done, I've never done that story.
I've done it once,
Yeah,
so that's how I knew we had it.
yeah, I didn't know we had it, because I thought I'd done
I did
every
it once
story.
years ago. It's been years since I've done it, but.
But it must have been, you know, I thought of a couple of practical things. It must have been quite dark inside with all those coverings over it.
Yeah,
But I guess they had candle by the way.
Well,
They
the
had
menorah.
The menorah.
Yeah,
And then I also wondered about rain. I know they're living in a very arid climate, but I've usually seen that every once in a blue moon it would rain.
well, wool is pretty water repellent.
Yeah.
it's gotta smell like a wet dog.
Yeah.
Now, do sheep smell like wet dogs when they get?
They smell like.
Oh, they smell like
Yeah.
Which is not such a pleasant smell.
My mother was a nurse and she said whenever a sheep herder came in to the hospital, you knew it.
Oh, I
could
bet,
smell
that
it.
smell,
Yeah.
all that lanolin.
Well, yeah.
So that's what makes it water repellent, isn't it?
Right.
It's the lanolin.
We were just reading in our facts and trivia calendar that we read every morning that the woman who swam across the English Channel, the first woman,
Oh, yeah.
she smeared lanolin all over her skin to
Protect it. when she
protect
goes
it
home.
and to keep her warm
Yeah.
while she swam.
Interesting.
Good, the first bodysuit, wetsuit.
Yeah.
Okay. For those that just came in, the bags for Chasm are due next Sunday. All right, and so we still have,
2 bags.
yeah, so we need 2 of everything, but what do we still need?
Actually, it is all complete.
Oh, is
Unless you have something, nothing on the back.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
Are both bags complete?
both bags are complete.
But some of us signed up for several things when
Yeah.
they weren't complete, so feel free to mark one of us off.
Don't,
And you're already on.
But be
there.
sure to tell
Tea
me.
bags, 2 bags, 2 boxes of tea bags. Yeah.
okay. All right, cool. And in November, we will start collecting food for the families that we sponsor for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So, because there's 2 different Thanksgiving programs that we support. The one at Chasm, which is the biggest one in the county. And then the families we sponsor for the holidays.
Yeah.
Who's the first one?
Chasm is an
Yes.
organization called Chasm. It stands for Chesterfield Colonial Heights Alliance of Social Ministries. And it started about a little over 40 years ago. I was working at Chesterfield DSS when it got started. And it helps to respond to families who are in financial crisis as far as utilities and rent and that kind of stuff. And then they coordinate a Thanksgiving program where there's about 3,500 of those bags that are distributed at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Frank and Diane Clark helped put the bags together. It's done at the fairgrounds. And
At the
she,
Chesterfield Fair.
yeah, and I've seen pictures of it. It's like an indoor football field with just rows and rows and rows of tables.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing. Because we all remember the days when as social worker, I definitely knew the days when there was no assistance for anybody at Thanksgiving. So we were taking lots of calls. about that. So anyhow, all right, so we're getting back to the precursors leading up to David. Right? So last week you guys got through chapter 4. So just to recap chapter 4. Eli is everybody needs a Bible. I encourage everybody to have a Bible this morning. So Eli is the chief judge. Samuel has been sort of
Don't you mean high priest?
high priest, sorry. Yep, Eli's the high priest. But Samuel is judge, right? You know, he came under Eli's tutelage as a child. God called him.
Chapter
You
4.
want to talk about that?
Yes.
Yeah, First
Samuel.
Samuel, chapter,
First.
Oh, First Samuel, sorry.
First Samuel, sorry. Remember, First and Second Samuel are the story of David. And David, David's story goes into First Kings. All right, and then David's story is retold in First and Second Chronicles, but it's the edited version. And edited and when it left out all the stuff that makes us go, huh?
Redacted.
Yeah, redacted version. David is in First and Second Chronicles. So. All right, so the Philistines and the Israelites get into, well, no big surprise, they're at war with each other. And that map above Jeff's head, Jeff, you want to stand up, see Judah? The northern part of Judah, just on the west side of Judah, it says Philistia. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so, and there are 5 cities, and we're going to be talking about, several of them are mentioned in today's story, today's passage, that Philistia settled into. All right.
And we talked last time about they did real well on the plains because they had those iron chariots, but they never were able to really do well in the hills because it was so hard to get
The
the
Philistines.
chariots
Oh,
up the hills.
oh,
So they really made the plains their stronghold.
oh,
And that's
okay.
why they never
Because
really.
they were originally from the Aegean area.
Yeah, and they never really expanded up into the hill country.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So in last week's story, and this in reading that, that's what, you know, my rabbit hole mind made me think of the tabernacle. The Philistines, the Israelites got, or at least some of them got really excited and thought it'd be a great idea to take the Ark of the Covenant out of the battlefield with them. And so the Philistines captured the Ark of the Covenant. And so my rabbit hole brain was like, well, you know, how in the world did that happen? You know, so, but there was only one guy that guarded the tabernacle and all this stuff. So,
So Eli let it happen.
yeah, and Eli, yeah.
Just another one of the sins of Eli.
So anyhow, and then the end of chapter 4, Eli gets, needless to say, pretty worried and upset. The news gets back to him about what had happened. Eli falls backward in his chair falls backward, and he dies. Because when he found out what had happened with the Ark of the Covenant, the Philistines now have it. All right. And so he dies, not only with the news that Ark of the Covenant, but also that his 2 sons were killed. So then, and his daughter-in-law is so overwhelmed by all of this news, you know, her husband and her brother-in-law and the Ark of the Covenant and Eli, she gets overwhelmed with labor and she dies. But there at the last verse of chapter 4, she says, the glory has departed from Israel, for the Ark of God has been captured. So, which is a nice lead into chapter 5 and what happens.
My translation says glory is excellent. I like that.
Oh, yeah, that gives a different,
Yeah.
an additional image. There.
Glory is exiled from Israel for the taking of the ark.
Yeah. Okay, so now chapter 5 tells us what happened.
And her little boy, she named Ichabod, which
Oh,
means
yeah.
no glory,
Means what?
no glory.
No glory. Yeah. So
And I had never,
Ichabod Crane.
Ichabod Crane is the only Ichabod I've ever heard of.
Right, so now we know it's.
I've
Yeah.
caught 2 Ichabods in my life, all my career.
Oh, my goodness.
What'd you name the kid that? Knowing that that's what it means.
Because you
Probably
don't know that. Oh, what the name
So
is.
if you think about, I had a parent who had 5 daughters, and when her son was born, she named him Iverson.
Oh, wow.
Iverson.
Yeah, Iverson. So please.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and all the, here's the name of Arangelo and Arangelo. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
when you write it out, you know, orange jello and lemon jello.
Oh, wow.
And my
Oh,
parents went
dear.
to school with people so poor and with so many kids, they ran out of names, so they started naming them after crops. She went to school with Butterbean.
That's kind of cute.
Corn.
Yeah.
That was boys.
When Toyotas first came out, kids being named Toyota. So anyhow.
Okay.
So,
Ichabod's not so bad.
all right, so let's, if somebody would read through verse 5.
Go, Sarah.
And the Philistines had taken the ark of God and brought it from Ebenezer to Ashdod.
Ashdod was one of their 5 cities.
Yeah. And the Philistines took the ark of God and brought it to the house of Dagon and set it up alongside Dagon.
Okay, Dagon was their main god.
And my footnote says he's probably either vegetation or fertility god. And the Ashdodites rose on the next day, and look, Dagon has fallen forward to the ground before the ark of the Lord. And they took Dagon and set him back in his place. And they arose the next morning, and look, Dagon has fallen forward to the ground before the ark of the Lord, and Dagon's head and both his hands were chopped off upon the threshold. His trunk alone remained on him. Therefore, the priest of Dagon and all who enter the house of Dagon do not tread on the threshold of the house of Dagon to this day.
All right, so the NRSV says that Dagon had fallen on his face. How it's translated in the NRSV. So. All right, so that's just the beginning of, give you a little tease here, of hardship. So what's ahead for these folks?
Well, I think that the Philistines worship many gods. Dagon was just like you said,
Right.
name.
Right.
And my Bible also says that it was some kind of agricultural fertility, crops, rain, that kind of
Some
stuff.
kind of rain, yeah.
But they worship many gods, and they kind of felt like, ooh, now we've got this other god we can pull in, and he's pretty powerful, so let's pull this guy in too. And
Well, and the Philistines seem to have some knowledge too about Judaism and the Ark of the Covenant, you know, as far as, and we'll get to that. But they seem to have some knowledge of things too. So I did want to get back to the Ark of the Covenant. So the size of the Ark of the Covenant, you know, I always pictured it until I read what size it was. I pictured it as being this big thing. No, it was 27 by 20, about 27 inches by 27 inches by 45 inches.
That doesn't match the movies.
No.
It doesn't. So that would have been about the size of this top and about.
And how come you need 2 poles to carry it?
Well, because you weren't supposed to touch it.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's true.
No. So, and heavy, plus
Yeah.
it would have,
Yeah.
right, because I read somewhere, all my rabbit holes, about the amount of metal it would have taken to have done all this ornate decoration that's described was so much that it was like, was it really, how could they have done this? But, you know, the Egyptians did, so who knows? But the Egyptians had, what, millions of people, so who knows?
Well, and remind me what was inside, was it the scrolls of the
The
Talmud?
tablets that Moses
Talmud
wrote,
scrolls, or the
the
commandments?
10 Commandments are. Later, it's thought that Aaron's staff was in there,
Okay,
all right?
That's a short staff.
was
Yeah,
my
it is.
piece.
yeah.
Probably-
No, if you put it in diagonally, it had plenty of room.
I'm serious.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
took it back
yeah.
and folded it up. Butts cane folds up.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right,
Tom
right.
says too.
And there was a
And
third,
there was also a bowl of manna.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Full of manna.
Bowl of manna from, so,
Yeah.
all
Right,
right.
it was supposed to rot after the second day.
Well, it was in the Ark of the Covenant.
Not in the heart.
All right, but and there was a lid that sat on it, all right? And then the seraphim sat on, I guess, attached to that. I don't know whether they were attached to that lid or just sat on it, I don't know. But then the Ark of the Covenant is thought to have been captured. And when Jerusalem fell, and the temple was destroyed the first time in 587, 586. There is a later legend from Second Maccabees. I don't know if any of us remember this from we studied
That's a
Maccabees or
long
not. I know that Jeremiah rescued it and hid it in the Ark of the Covenant on Mount Nebo. So anyhow, all right. So if somebody would read 6 through the end, all right, and we're going to be referencing, you're going to be identifying 2 more Philistine cities that are, in that Philistine area. So when we get Ashdod, we've already talked about, and then Gath, and then Ekron, which is not the precursor to Akron. I looked it up.
Oh,
All right, so 6 through 12. They would read.
can read that.
Okay.
Then the Lord began to destroy the people of Ashdod and the nearby villages with a plague of boils. When the people realized what was happening, they exclaimed, "We can't keep the ark of God of Israel here any longer. We will all perish along with our god Dagon." So they called a conference of the mayors of the 5 cities of the Philistines to decide how to dispose of the ark. The decision was to take it to Garth. But when the ark arrived at Garth, the Lord began destroying its people, young and old, with the plague, and there was a great panic. So they sent the ark to Ekron. But when the people of Ekron saw it coming, they cried out, "They're bringing the ark of the God of Israel here to kill us too." So they summoned the mayors again and begged them to send the ark back to its own country, lest the entire city die. For the plague had already begun, and great fear was sweeping across the city. Those who didn't die were deathly ill, and there was weeping everywhere.
Okay. So the NRSV says yours says plague, mine says boils.
Mine says
Tumors.
tumors.
Tumors. Yeah. So everybody, and the word is spreading.
Yeah.
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 No, everybody's
As long as
finding
the
out.
disease is spreading too.
Mhm.
All right. So what does this remind us of?
It's Egypt.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. The plagues in Egypt. Right. Because yours even
Mhm.
says plagues.
Plagues, yeah.
Right. So the hand of God, mine says those last verses, the hand of God was very heavy in Ekron. And those who did not die were stricken with tumors, and the cry of the city went up to heaven. All right. So moving into chapter 6. So the ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines. It was there for 7 months. Right. So they're dealing with this for a while. So if somebody would read verses 1 through 6. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, 1 through 6.
I do it.
Okay.
The ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. Then the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners and said, "What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Tell us what we should send it with it to its place." They said, "If you send away the ark of the God of Israel, do not send it empty, but by all means return him a guilt offering. When you will be healed and will be ransomed, will not his hand then turn from you?" And they said, "What is the guilt offering that we shall return to him?" They answered, 5 gold tumors and 5 gold mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines. For the same plague was upon all of you and upon your lords. So you must make images of your tumors and images of your mice that ravage the land, and give glory to God of Israel, because he will lighten his hand on you and your gods and your land. Why should you harden your hearts as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts after he had made fools of them? Did they not let the people go? They departed.
Okay, so going back to verse 3, I think, your translation there that you've got, said, then you will be healed and ransomed. Mine says forgiven. What does yours say, Sarah? So the verse 3.
There will be an atonement.
Okay,
Mine says that you will be healed and it will be known to you why his hand is not removed.
oh,
So that's gonna be.
yeah, so what does that say to you, that word?
That they weren't exactly sure why God was mad at them. But that was kind of a typical thing when things went wrong. We've done something to make God mad.
Right.
And so if you make these offerings, you'll understand why God's mad and then it'll be over.
Here's my footnote. And I don't remember what this. The Masoretic text, so one version of this says it will become known to you, but the reading of both Qumran's Samuel scroll and the Septuagint said, and it will be atoned for you, which makes more sense.
Yes.
Okay, so let me interject this piece, because these differences sort of illustrate it. Because, up to this point, the Philistines have been sort of dealing with themselves, trying to figure out, well, let's get it out of our camp, and their mayors or their lords were trying to figure out how to deal with this problem. And then we're moving into a different kind of process now. That the texts from 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel are some of the most poorly preserved ones. There are some folks who think they may have been some of the first that were actually written down. And then the rest, Genesis and Exodus and Deuteronomy and all that were written after this. Some think that's one, we don't know. But we do know that these texts are among some of the most poorly preserved. So it's like, remember when we studied Genesis, there were stories that you read them and you're like, what? This doesn't flow well. And it was because of different sources that were put together. So there's something, maybe this was different sources put together. So, and alters that your translation highlights this, that modern translators now rather are turning more and more to the Septuagint, which was the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible. And it was done either 200 years before Jesus or 200 years after. I don't know, somewhere in that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And the scrolls from Qumran, the Dead Sea Scrolls, relying on that, and some of the more ancient texts. And I think that Masoretic refers to one of those texts. Yeah. So that's how it's all sort of is working and trying to figure out some of the wording sometimes. All right.
So I wondered if these boils, they mentioned the rats, and is this an early? I don't know what the bubonic plague. Did you get boils? When you
Right,
had
yeah,
bubonic plague?
the footnotes here talk about that connection.
Did they?
Yes.
Oh, so that's what the mice represent too. Is that?
Rats are carriers of bubonic plague.
Yeah.
And we're eating the grain.
Because I never read anything about why the mice.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
That's where my mind went when I saw that. I was like, oh, I wonder if this was an
Yeah,
early
that's what,
iteration of the bubonic plague.
Okay.
especially because we'll see in a few minutes that the boils tended to be in the secret places is one way that and that's kind of apparently where the plague
Begins.
Oh. All right.
In
So
the
when you make
secret
I
places.
thought it was kind of weird when you're making a gold replica of your tumors from the private parts.
Yeah, kidding.
I think it was rather odd.
Yeah.
At least in our modern day
Think
standards.
people
That's what I have to keep telling myself.
like poison rats. I thought it was relatively recently only that they discovered the plague came from rats.
Well, yeah, I mean, in medieval times, people did not know that that's what was causing the plague, but,
God.
but, you know, we went when we went through the dark ages, we lost so much knowledge that of things, that we'd known previously. So I wonder if these people had more of an idea about what was causing the plague. And then in medieval times, when the dark ages were called that because we lost so much knowledge. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I
there's,
think it was the fleas.
Mhm.
The rats. who
Yeah,
had
right,
things
yeah.
biting.
Right. And the NRSV says mice. Opposed to
Yeah,
rats.
mine does too, so I'm not sure why they went from rats to mice, but.
Mine says rats,
Oh,
Right,
okay.
and which, is yours the Living Bible?
Living Bible.
Yeah,
Mine says
And
mice, and
I
it's the New International.
rats. They were big mice.
That's right.
Either way, they were rodents.
I vote for rodents.
Rodents.
Yeah.
So was Indiana Jones looking for 5 life-size or bigger rats? And they search for the whatever, antiquities.
Yeah, yeah.
And how would you know a tumor if you saw one
I
in
know.
gold? And where are they now?
Yeah.
I know.
Where, I mean, do we even know where the ark, whatever happened to it? We have no idea. I mean, except
No, I was just saying that.
Or Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
Big
that-
warehouse.
Yeah, the warehouse somewhere.
In the first fall of the temple, it's thought that it was taken then, and then there's a
We've never
legend
seen
that it was found later and hid on Mount Nebo, that Jeremiah found it.
And so he hid it, and that's where it is.
That's a legend.
Yeah.
Was that what the Samaritans worship? Maybe.
I don't know.
I remember the lady at the well said, we worship. Mount Nebo."
Okay.
I don't
Oh,
Yeah, somebody who wasn't a Hebrew probably melted it down and just took off with the gold.
know. Right,
right,
right.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, wait, somebody read 6 through 9. Oh, and I wanted to say too, that it looks, my translations seem to, and the stuff I was reading seem to think that these lords that they consulted and priests were from the Jews. So that it was like, we ain't finding the answer here. It's your Ark of the Covenant. You tell us what to do.
Give us some gold.
All right. So 6 through 9. Okay. Why do you harden your hearts as the Egyptians and Pharaoh did? When Israel's God dealt harshly with them, did they not send the Israelites out so they could go on their way? Now then, get a new cart ready with 2 cows that have calved and have never been yoked. Hitch the cows to the cart, but take their calves away and pin them up. Take the ark of the Lord and put it on the cart, and in a chest beside it put the gold objects you are sending back to him as a guilt offering. Send it on its way, but keep watching it. If it goes up to its own territory toward Beth Shemesh, then the Lord has brought this great disaster on us. But if it does not, then we will know that it was not his hand that struck us, but it was happened to us by chance. All right, so this verse though sounds like it's the Philistines canceling each other. All right, so it's like load it up on a cart with 2 milk cows, let it go and see where it goes.
Okay, can I
But
share?
take the calves away.
Okay, let me read this footnote because it adds a lot of detail here. A new cart, that was important. It is to be an undefiled instrument made specifically for this ritual purpose. The cows that no yoke has touched, also uncompromised use in ordinary labor. They haven't been used by any kind of labor. Though the more important point is that they are entirely devoid of experience as draft animals, so that their ability to pull the cart straight to Beth Shemesh would have to be a manifestation of God's intervention or the intrinsic power of the ark. And leaving the calves inside, of course, this is the crux of the text. The milking cows will have to go against nature and gliding forward into Israelite territory with their calves behind them, shut up in the manger waiting to be fed.
Okay, so in the to keep up with time, so because I'm going to get through chapter 7 today. So they did this, and so they set him up with this cart
And sure enough, the cows went straight in the direction of Beth Shemesh along one highway, blowing as they went. They didn't turn to the right or the left, they just went straight there. All right. So the Philistines, went as far as the border of Beth Shemesh. All right. So now the people, they were doing their own wheat harvest. They looked up, saw the ark, and they started rejoicing. They're thrilled it's back. So came to the field of Joshua of Beth Shemesh. There was a large stone put up. It seems like every time there's some event, they put a big stone, a little altar or something. Yep, yep. So the Levites came, took it down, took the ark of the box, along with the box of the gold objects, and they offered burnt offerings.
Of the cows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Specific, it was.
of those cows, right.
boy, that's a way to show thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the Levites needed to, I mean, that's what they got was stuff from,
Yeah.
yeah, so they got the cows.
Right,
That was probably barbecue.
Yeah,
We're talking about a burnt
absolutely.
offering.
right. Yeah, talk about
Yeah.
barbecue, then two of them at that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so then, so remember there were 5 of the tumors and 5 of the mice, 1 for each of the cities. And this just hit me. This hadn't hit me before. 1 for Ashdod. This is verse 17. 1 for Gaza. That had not hit me before.
Huh.
1 for Ashkelon, 1 for Gath, 1 for Ekron. So where the Philistines live, now that I'm looking at that map, that's basically where Gaza is.
Yeah. I thought that when Jeff stood up, I was like, wait a minute, a bit like the Gaza Strip.
Right. So anyhow, excuse me. So going on to verse 19, the descendants of Jeconiah did not rejoice with the people of Beth Shemesh when they grieved the ark of the Lord. He killed 70 men of them. The people mourned because the Lord had made a great slaughter among the people. Then the people of Beth Shemesh said, who is able to stand before the Lord, this holy God? To whom shall he go so that we may be rid of him? So they sent messengers. Ooh, am I done with that one? Yep. Okay. So it just like switched, again. Philip, the Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord. Come down and take it up to you. And the people of Kiriath Jearim came and took up the ark of the Lord, and brought it to the house of Abinadab on the hill. They consecrated his son Eleazar to have charge of the ark of the Lord. So Eleazar now is the God who gets to guard the ark of the covenant after all that. From the day that the ark was lodged at Kiriath Jearim, a long time passed, some 20 years, and all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. What are your other translations? All the house of Israel lamented after the Lord.
The whole house of Israel was drawn after the Lord.
Was in sorrow, mine says.
All the people turned back to the Lord.
Right?
That's his
Lamented.
Was in sorrow.
Yeah, when your most holy item is taken off by your enemy, So imagine if, Putin came over and just walked off with the Statue of Liberty. Was the image that sort of came to my mind. But
I thought of 9/11, of how angry but united we all became because someone had attacked us on our own soil and taken something that was precious to us.
Right. And it also seemed like the Philistines, here the Israelites were like, oh yeah, hey, let's take the ark of the covenant out the battle. Well, that's always a good, safe thing, secure thing to do. But it's like the Philistines had a little bit more awareness about how serious this was. Once they got hold of it, of course, they were dealing with all kinds of stuff. But
Oh, yeah, they bring it out to the front because they figured it was God,
Yeah.
making the way for them and bringing victory.
yeah, because we're getting slaughtered here.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, my footnote said that, the word, what we're talking about, doesn't make sense.
Okay.
So it's not just us.
Just or two are studying. the
My
original.
footnote says the meaning is uncertain.
Yeah.
Probably it was spelling.
Yep.
So was Beth Shemesh, was that part of Israel? Or was that part of, or was that where the ark was done?
Yes, I think it is part. Yeah, I feel pretty confident it's part of Israel.
Sounds like it.
I didn't bring that map with me. There was a map in one of my books of Israel at the time of David, but I didn't bring that with me. See if it was on me, but I'm pretty sure it is. So,
But 70 of the men of Beth Shemesh were killed when they looked into the ark, so sounds like they weren't having been, sound like
you
they
were supposed to do that.
the ark was,
Yeah.
was,
Yeah, don't touch it, don't look in it, don't go near
Don't
it.
even go in the room. The high
Yeah.
priest was the only one, remember?
yeah.
The chief priest.
Why
was-
why would the men, why would the Israeli men do that? They knew that.
Would have been,
It'd been a long time, and let's face it, as humans, we're kind of stupid. sometimes.
it'd been
Well,
so.
it's
Notice that.
they were worshiping other gods.
Yeah,
You know, it says, so the Israelites put away their balls and their ashtoreths, you know, and served the Lord only
yeah.
for a while.
Samuel says to the whole house, if with your whole heart you now return to the Lord and put away the alien gods from your myth and Ashtaroth and set your heart. So yeah, they're not being monotheistic here.
Which is a recurring.
Thing
Hmm.
throughout the Old
Throughout the
Testament.
Old Testament.
Yes.
Mr. Google says it's a city in Israel.
Okay.
There must be sure.
All right. So now we're gonna move back into Samuel's story. Right, chapter 7, and move into this process of a king, moving from judges leading Israel to king leading Israel, and how that comes to pass, how that comes to happen. So I wanted to talk just to end a little bit about the tradition of judges. And the book of Judges tells the story
Of the judges.
of the judges. That, you know, the initial idea of Israel was to be a theocracy, for God to be in charge, right? And just God to be in charge. Not a monarchy, that they're, with God being the one and holy sovereign. But again, you know, the Israelites are struggling with that. And they start, and we're going to get into next week. Who's teaching next week? All right. So Sarah's going to get into. Susan is.
The ex lady.
Yeah, one of the Ash ladies, Susan, about how the people are pushing Samuel on this issue. So, so in Judges 2:17, and this has been going on for a long time, back in the second chapter of Judges, the Israelites quote, "Hearken not unto their judges, for they went astray after other gods and worshiped them." So, let's see. So we're going to get into Samuel's sons. He has two sons also. Remember, Eli had two sons that are not particularly good guys.
Samuel too.
Yeah, we have a lot of recurring themes.
Oh dear.